Someone probably gave you an envelope, and that is so if you want to. How beautiful is that? Oh my goodness. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
I love you.
That's very nice. Thank you so much. Ooh, wow. I was just looking at a picture on my phone this morning in Hawaii with some beautiful lace around my neck and around Jerry's neck, and I think this is big enough for around both of our necks. I love this. Okay. Oh, never mind about that now. Someone gave you an envelope, and what that is about is if you want to order the recordings from today, you can order them in any conceivable format. Just check the right box, and if you would turn them into the girls today, that would really help them. On the back side, it says subscription program sign up, and that is in case you want to be on a subscription program where we take best seminar, best material from the seminar, oh my God, and put it onto put it on a one CD and send it to you once a month or twice a month. So anyway, that's that. I don't know about this. You know what? Can we put this somewhere really, put it on the table, put it somewhere where everybody can see it? I'd love that. Yeah, right here. This is perfect. Okay. It just gets better and better. Okay, now, don't anyone ever do anything like this again, okay? Okay. See ya. And are you refreshed? Good. Now what? Right here. Stand if you think it's you. Further forward, you're the one.
So I believe the most part of my life I was in default until probably around 2006 that I became more aware of deliberate creation. And strangely enough, I was a martial artist my entire life. And in 2 years ago, I had a lot of contrast. And that made me search for a lot of high frequency vibration, and I was practicing a lot of meditation. And after a while, I started feeling a presence. I don't know if it's anything like you with Esther, but I did felt. Yeah. And I'm from Brazil, and I had a lot of people down there from the street come to me and said, hey, you're being helped, you're supposed to do this. And from my background, I was like, I couldn't believe, because I was just like a regular person, whatever. I thought you needed to be somebody enlightened or something like that, until I started working with some, maybe a technique. I had injuries, and then I got healed by a person, and I started studying with this person. All of a sudden, I started having this what's so-called miracle, and I got caught up in the whole momentum process of all things going on, and I'm making things happen, whatever. And all of a sudden, that presence I felt went away, and I started missing that, because I don't know what it was. But then when I was listening to the audio of Asking It's Given, I heard you're talking about when it started happening to you. And I thought it was like, happening to Esther. And I thought it was pretty amazing, because I felt something like that. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm juicing, I'm doing this to try to, and I need to be clear to kind of like, what happened what happened that went away, even though it hasn't been that long that went away, but I'm missing that. And I'm no competition to you though, but I really...
There are a number of things that we want to say to you. Most important is that when you say, I thought I was just like everyone else, you are in the sense that everyone is an extension of source energy. And the only thing that anyone needs to do in order to allow themselves to be aware of that presence that is always present, is offer a vibration that doesn't cause you to resist it. So it is not surprising to us that someone who was focusing as you were with the martial arts, in other words, in order for you to be in that kind of flow, you were learning how to manage your energy and balance your energy. And the process of meditation in and of itself is simply the process whereby you quiet your mind, which causes you to quiet any thought which might be resistance. And in the absence of resistance, then there is the full allowing of this energy. And so it doesn't matter. We wouldn't spend any time talking about it going away because it didn't go away. What happened was you began to find things to think about or vibrational frequencies that made it less easy for you to be aware of it. And something that is really important for you to hear, for all of you, because this is not something that is unique to Esther or to our friend here. It is something that all of you are extensions of source energy. But this is a piece that will really help you. When you are... And we like this in context of everything else that we've been talking about here today. The best part about deliberately preparing your grid or preparing your point of attraction, your climate, your atmosphere, your point of attraction, the best part about deliberately doing that is that then when it fills in, as it often does, whether you are aware of it or not, you are aware of it. In other words, when you do something on purpose, when you find resonance with source deliberately, and then something happens where you notice that it has happened. Esther, something as simple as she's been playing that silly game Flappy Bird. She wanted to throw her iPad into the ocean at first because it was so difficult. And then she, if you haven't played it, don't. So she made it to like 4 points or 5 points, but nothing more than that. And then one day, after preparing her grid and meditating and making a list of positive aspects, she picked it up and made it all the way to 14. Boom, 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 boom. And for Esther, now this is not exactly the cosmic information you thought you were going to get as you come here and listen to infinite intelligence, but for Esther, it was an indicator that she was in a better vibrational place than she had ever been while playing that game. And so evidence is flowing in all of the time to you, but often you're missing it if you haven't done the setup. If you haven't deliberately set it up for receiving it, then you miss it when it comes. So that's the first part that we want to say. And the next part, which is really important for you to think about, is that once you begin receiving and you know it, you settle into a sort of this is the way life really is sort of thing. And so even though some of the same things are happening, you don't notice it as much because the contrast between what you were doing and what you are doing is not as stark. And what that makes us want to say to all of you, this is such an important part of this deliberate creative process, is that many times the way that you determine that you even want something is because you know what the feeling of yearning feels like. You know what the feeling of resistance feels like. And there's a little trap in there for you that makes you think that to want it, you have to feel that edge. And we're wanting to say to you, until that edge is gone, you're not going to realize it. And so nothing's changed except maybe your perspective. Just don't try so hard. Don't try to make anything happen. And don't try to make it happen for anyone else. Let it be something that you are experiencing and then just follow the impulses that come.
The only reason I decided to ask is just because because that happened after the contrast. I said, okay, I don't want more contrast just to have it again, that experience. So I said, that's why I would ask if maybe it was a process, whatever, but I understand maybe.
Well, yes, you do want contrast. You want continual contrast because you want continual choices. But the better you get at this, the more, the smaller the variance in the contrast that comes. In other words, Esther loves the contrast between peacefulness and ease and clarity and enthusiasm and passion. There's contrast in that. Because when you're feeling passionate about something, the energy is really moving fast. It's a high-flying good time. But she doesn't want to move at that energy all of the time. She likes the contemplative contrast. She likes to find interest in. So one day she sat and just made a list of everything that she could think of that described this high-flying, being tuned in, tapped in, turned on, high-flying disc, point of attraction. What emotions feel like that? And the first thing she wrote was ease, and then she wrote clarity, and then she wrote passion and enthusiasm and love and appreciation. In other words, all of those things are on that high-flying disc. It's just you don't always want that sort of momentum relative to it. Okay. Have fun with it. Be easy about it. All is well.
Thank you.
Further back. Further back. Stand if you think you are the one.
Thank you. I'm really interested in learning more about how to have the most exhilarating experience in athletics and in my body in terms of relating to my cells. I heard you say something really exciting recently. Sorry, I'm really excited. You were saying that most human beings respond to how their bodies feel, and that we have so much more capacity to tell our bodies, talk to our cells, connect, and let them know how we want them to feel. And I really am interested in like a higher, deeper, more exhilarating co-creation with the cells, the consciousness of the cells in my body.
Well, we think that's a really good idea, and we know that you will like it as you accomplish it consciously and deliberately. But there's something a little bit backwards in the way you presented the question to us, and so we want to straighten that around and then off we'll go. And that is, because, well, you're talking about talking to your cells. We just want you to understand that if you can think not about instructing your cells, but about taking instruction from them. In other words, it's not so much about what you're telling them as about what they're telling you, because they are consciousness who is in direct conversation with your source energy. And it is to the degree that you are worrying about things and blocking that communication that makes you then not understand. So the more you are reaching for thoughts that feel good, and the more that you are finding thoughts that feel good, the more rampages of appreciation and lists of positive aspects, the more that that is just a natural, easy, natural way for you to feel as you begin each day, then the less you will be blocking the communication between your cells and their source. Now, we don't want to separate you from your cells, and we certainly don't want to separate you from your source, but we do want to tell the story in this way. Your source has direct conversation and communication with your cells, and if you aren't in the way, it will go really, really well. But your cells are giving you communication all the time in forms of impulses, in forms of craving. But most humans are not allowing their cells to let them know what they need, because, you stupid cell, there's far too many carbs in that thing that you're making me crave than in what I want. And so I'm going to override your request and not give you what you're asking for, because I'm responding to something outside of me rather than something inside of me. So you're understanding clearly. Your cells know what to do. They are brilliant genius. Your body is a veritable chemical factory. It is in concert with itself. Think about the forming of the body. Do you realize that not that long ago you were just like a little smear on a petri dish? And out of that little smear, here you are. Don't you find that amazing? That each part of the little smear knew what it was supposed to do in order to turn out the way you are? Don't you find that just amazing? That's intelligence and consciousness that's going on between source and cells that you don't need to get actively involved in, but you do want to trust the knowledge of these cells, these intelligent cells, and trust the knowledge of the source within you. And then you do your work, what is your work all day long, which is to get feeling as good as you can about anything that you can feel good about, and then follow the impulses that come. And it is our promise to you that you'll be on a path of good feeling, energizing, good feeding, good fueling beingness.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And in athletics, in sports,
we're surprised that any of you, we're interrupting you, but we just want to stick this in. We're surprised any of you can find anything to eat. Because you've read something about everything that makes it inappropriate for you to eat. And so you do the majority of your eating in turmoil. So you say, all right, cells, see if you can get anything good out of this. Because I've got you as blocked off as I possibly can, because I'm on a path of deprivation this morning.
So in that moment when you're eating, and obviously in between, the cells are working all the time.
But even before that, even before the impulse to eat comes, if you can have prepared your grid, if you can, in other words, do that work and then follow the impulse. Yes.
Okay, got it. When I want to go,
and then when the grid
yes,
and then when the grid fills in with an impulse, and the impulse feels good as it comes and as you follow through with it, that's your evidence. I prepared the grid. I prepared my culture, my atmosphere, my climate. I did the work. I did the only work that mattered. I've been doing it for a while, so it's easy. And now the impulses are flowing to me. And the recognition that you will have as your cells participate in jubilation with you, that will translate in the form of clarity, in the form of vitality, in the form of energy, in the form of physical well-being, in the form of sleeping well, in other words, there will be so much evidence of the alignment that you have found. But you have to be willing to find the alignment. It's like $100,000 in debt, $100,000 in the black is what you're looking for. Probably not going to happen today, just like you'd like it to, but you can feel well-being. You can feel ease. And so that's what you're shooting for with anything. You're looking for the feeling of ease first, trusting that the impulse will come that will continue to bring you the evidence that you're looking for, that is more striking evidence that then others can see and hear and smell and taste and touch.
Awesome. You answered everything I had on that. And you just tipped on the other thing that I was curious about. This idea of reality and vibrational reality versus the reality that we interpret with our five senses. I'm really interested in, I'm clear that I have my own internal dialogue that's going on in my head, my own personal reality, and I know everyone has that. By the time I have become a vibrational match to something that's in my vortex, so much so that others can see it, is it that I have now become a vibrational match for the them that also sees it?
Yes, in part. But this is the most important thing. Long before you became that which others could see, you had that vibration going on. And them seeing it just means it was going on long enough that you got enough momentum going that it became obvious to everyone. In other words, that's that birth that we were talking about earlier. And we know sometimes these conversations are not very satisfying to you because you say, well, rah, vibrational reality. I want the money in my bank where I can spend it. I want the experiences. And we say, it has to be enough for you for a while. If you are looking for the evidence of your vibrational accomplishment in the form of emotion and finding it, and you are willing to continue to be pleased with the emotional evidence for a while, the rest of the evidence in every manner that you're speaking of will come to you. But if you get to that place where you say, the emotional evidence is not enough, it's not enough for me to just feel optimistic or happy about this or trusting, I can no longer hold myself there, then we say, the momentum will slip away from you. You see, it is a progressive thing. So it's really worth hanging in there and feeling good for no logical reason until the reason shows up. That really is what we're talking about.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
May I ask one more question? Last question. I had an experience a few months ago that was really, it felt very profound to me and I enjoyed it, and I'm just curious if you have any insight on it. It didn't feel like a dream that you have at night when you sleep. It felt like an alternate consciousness where I was aware of basically kind of like a different version of myself and a different version of my mom in what I was interpreting in my perception of it as kind of almost like an alternate physical reality. Are there such things?
Yes, but this is the way we would describe it. In your deliberate working to find alignment with who you are and finding it much of the time, you are coming to resonate in this more steady recognition of this non-physical perspective. So you are beginning, in many ways, to see your world through the eyes of Source. When you find yourself saying something that is way better than you've ever said it before, that's one of those resonant moments when you are an extension of that Source energy. And so some people want to call those out-of-body experiences. We want to call it seeing the world through the eyes of Source. And it does feel like a different vantage point because it's not a vantage point that people often experience. Esther often describes it to others. When she's driving often, it doesn't feel to her as if her wheels are on the road. There's a sort of ethereal quality to her moment in time where she's perceiving things. She's aware of what's happening in traffic even before anyone's signaling. She sort of knows what that one's going to do. She sort of finds her place in her driving pod. She sort of knows where she wants to be. It's like she's allowing the non-physical aspect of her to view her world. And the reason that we love so much giving this picture to you and affirming back to you the experience that you had is because this is the way you all have intended to live in your physical bodies. You intended to find vibrational, it's what we talk about all day so far here today, alignment with this broader part of yourself so that the total you is present in the moment, so that the fullness of you. We love you so much, but you have such a screwy perspective of how the Source fits in with that which you are. You've separated yourself from Source, made Source smarter and wiser, when Source is flowing to you and through you, unconditionally. Unconditional love, unconditional knowing, unconditional good driving, unconditional knowing where the radar is, unconditional appreciation, unconditional clarity, unconditional things are always working out for you, unconditional. And as you find reason to believe that and know that, a little piece here and a little piece here, and practice it, you're going to have far more moments like that where you can feel the whole of who you are present in this moment, which is what each and every one of you meant for each and every moment. Not one of you said, I'll go forth. I know you're available. But I'll pinch myself off from you, and then you can measure me against all the others who've pinched themselves off. I'll dig really deep holes and I'll crawl in, and then when I crawl out, other humans will clap.
Thank you so much.
And we say, you came to feel good and to feel good in this moment and in this moment and in this moment. But you got to practice it first thing in the morning for a little while to get the hang of it. And clearly you have been doing that.
Thank you.
Something more?
That's it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Further back. Back row, standing up. If you're not, everyone sit down. Everyone sit down. Yeah.
I'm amazed at the unfolding of being chosen right after her. I'm a weight loss coach, and what I'm finding knowing that I'm coming to now is rather than finding a way for each person, I'm helping them find their way and their next impulse, and being able to discern that for themselves. And that's how I think I can be of most benefit. And I would love any insight that you have.
Well, we agree with everything that you're saying. The piece that is missing for most relative to this subject is, it's the same piece that's missing for everyone relative to almost every subject, and that is, get on the high-flying disc and then. Get into this vibrational atmosphere and then. Because we remember some years ago, Esther saying, I feel like I should meditate, but I really don't have time today. And that's like saying, I've decided to do each and everything that I'm going to do today the hard way. I'm going to do it the hard way because the hard way works to some extent. In other words, I can bang it out. The whole world's doing it the hard way for the most part. So if I'm just measuring myself against others who are doing it the hard way, then I'm diligent and really willing to try hard and will put in more hours and will be vigilant and will keep my word and I will do all those noble things that hardworking, progressive people who are movers and shakers do, then I'll be able to make my mark on the chart of doing it the hard way. But there's a whole other way. There's a whole other way that most are not understanding. And so it's not the easiest thing in the world to get someone to all of a sudden flip on a dime and start feeling differently about themselves than they have been feeling, because they have momentum. And so it's a matter of helping them start new momentum, helping them understand that there is a natural rhythm that they will find. But we have to say, and most who are counseling most people about most things don't agree with this initially until they have a chance to get on the inside of it and try it a little bit and see what's going on. Most really believe that they are coaching action, that they are coaching behavior. And it doesn't matter what behavior you coach them to, if they're not in a place of liking themselves, if they're not in a place of loving themselves, if they're not in a place of allowing themselves, if they're not in a place of softness. It's like, here's the picture that we would like you all to have. So, because this is the way that it is. So you are, each and every one of you, the focus of source attention all day, every day. Not just guessing attention, precise. You put the things in the vortex piece by piece, know exactly who you are and what you want, loving, unconditional attention flowing to each and every one of you steadily and constantly. So here you are, the subject of all of that attention. What is your point of attraction? Are you all balled up in resistance because when you were little your mother didn't like you and so you stopped liking you? Are you all balled up in resistance because you're mad at that person, or you've made that person an enemy? Have you got this sort of shell over you so that even though source is flowing to you, you're not letting it in because you've got this condition that you use as your excuse to not let it in, and this condition that you're using as your excuse not to let it in, and this condition as your excuse not to let it in. So even though it's all flooding and all flowing and all right there for you, and all you have to do is just wake up and not think a negative thought for a minute, and some will get in. Wake up and meditate for a minute and stop that spewing of resistance. It's like you're walking through clear space and you're spewing resistance that's, in this example, a red inky mist. And so now you're complaining that everywhere you go there's this red inky mist all out there. And it just never dissipates. It's always there, it's always thick, it always kind of blocking view. And we say, stop spewing it, and after a while it will dissipate. After a while it will dissipate and you'll be in that clear space. So that's what you all, as teachers and uplifters and counselors and mentors for so many people, that's what you are wanting to be for them. You're wanting to help them with the soothing. You're wanting to say to them the things that the source within them is saying to them that they can't hear because they've got themselves all blocked off. You have to say, it's okay. and you're doing really good, and it's going to be fine, and I'm really proud of you. And this is a good thing. And this is not going to be as difficult as you might have thought it's going to be. And easy does it. And I know this for sure. And it's going to be okay. And we're finding that path for you. And you are the creator of your own reality. Now, a lot of them aren't ready to hear that, so don't lay that on them too soon. They might freak out. But as long as you know it, as long as you know that they are the creator of their own reality, and that the reality that they have created is in the vortex. They have created a reality that is exactly what they want. So as a mentor or a teacher or a guide, what you're wanting to do is to soften that vibrational barrier that they have established over a long period of time, so that some of what they want can reach their cells, so that some of what they want can reach their mind, can reach their impulses. So you are soothers. That's who you are. If you are a coach, you are a soother, because you understand what the work for them to do is, to soften that shell and let the well-being, not that you are asserting to them, the well-being that they have asked for and that source is flowing to them, you see. That was really good. In fact, that was the best conversation we have ever had about that. Enough?
Actually, one other thing. I feel that this experience that I'm having right now, because as the other woman was speaking, I thought, I'm next. I'm absolutely next. But then I didn't want to come up, and you're soothing me right now, and so I feel like I'm having the exact experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because we are teachers of teachers. Are you feeling some resonance in your body? So, are you saying to us that as we've been chatting together and you've been focusing, that you have found a vibrational frequency so that the whole of you is participating? Feels good, doesn't it? That's what thriving is.
It's very nice to be here, and thank you. My question is about dreams. I feel like they encompass so many different things.
Yeah, like life.
Life. One aspect of it is lucid dreaming.
Yeah?
From a very young age, I started realizing I can control dreams while I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
And my first question is there any significance to that? Does that mean anything?
Yes, it means a lot. It means, this is what it means. So you've been hearing us every time, but especially here today, saying that you create your reality because you offer a vibration that law of attraction responds to. So what you think and what you live always match. So then we say, your dream state is your creation too. But the difference in the timing of your dreaming and the timing of you allowing things to be realized in what you want to call your real life experience, it happens faster in dream state because remember, while you were asleep, there was no negative momentum. The momentum stopped while you were asleep. So you were less resistant during your sleep state, which allowed the dream to come into your mind. Now, it's an important thing to say that if you're not somewhat aware of who you are and in some resonance with who you really are, that lucid dreaming then won't be translated back into your wake state, because it isn't like you think it is. It didn't happen all night long. It was a vibrational download that you pretty much were interpreting almost in those moments that you were coming back into physical consciousness. So we said a lot just now, and many of you heard a lot of it. Here is the piece that we really want you to hear. Do you hear us? And more important, do you accept that you are the creator of your own experience?
Yes.
And that you are the creator of your own experience because you are the offerer of vibration?
Yes.
And do you accept that in knowing what you don't want and knowing what you do want, that you have created a vibrational reality that is ripe and ready for the plucking, if only for that little bit of vibrational alignment that you have to do? Can you accept that? So things are ready. The money you want, and the relationships you want, and the access you want, and the fun that you want, and the property you want, and the assets you want, and the life you want, all of that you want, that you've been telling the universe that you want, piece by piece, with such incremental detail that there's no question about who you are and what you want. All of that ready to manifest in your experience in the moment that you begin relaxing and allowing, or better said, not resisting and disallowing. So it's ready to pop, ready to pop, ready to pop. So you've got this relationship, and today we gave a whole new conversation to it, happily, with our determined, obstinate friend about what giving birth really is about, the giving birth to it. So now we want you, now that you have clearly seen this vibrational reality and your point of attraction, we want you to see right smack dab in the middle between that vibrational reality and your waking real life manifestations. We want you to see your dream reality. That's where it is. In other words, because from your vortex into that first dream reality, in other words, it's logical that it could flow into your dream, easier that it can flow into your wake state, because there's more resistance in your wake state than there is in your dream state. So if we were standing in your physical shoes and things were manifesting that are not wanted in dream state, we would say, that's my grid filling in. This is evidence of what I've got going on in my vibrational reality. And we'd do some adjusting if we didn't like the dream. If you had a lucid dream or some sort of dream that was just delicious in every way, we would say, I've prepared my vibrational climate in just the way to be the receiver, to be the realizer of that. And we also are you following us? Are you getting this? Are you liking it? We also, and this is the piece that is the most important of all about this discussion, there is not that much difference between your creating of it in a dream and your creating of it in what you call wake state, because it's still birthing it. And you are more vibrational than you've been giving yourselves credit. We want to sort of blur the lines between what you're calling reality and what we're calling your vibrational interpretation of life. And if you can just go there, if you can just get that, then all of those conditions that you've been using to block stuff go out the window all at once, because they're irrelevant. Follow that? All that stuff that you just been making up stories, it's been blocking stuff for no good reason. Stop it.
On the same topic of dreams, thank you for that, by the way.
Best ever.
Best ever. Amazing.
We mean it. Yeah.
You know, when you have those moments in life, then you feel like, I just feel like this has happened before, the deja vus and the... And like
right.
it's like a film being played.
Well, it did happen before. It happened in the vibrational reality. And when you start having that means you're in the vortex. When you start having those deja vu moments, it means you're interpreting the vibration. You're interpreting the vibration before those around you are able to interpret the vibration. You're getting it. You're starting to understand.
I sometimes
Isn't that the best understanding of deja vu? Doesn't that make perfect sense? You say, I feel like this happened before. It did. It did. You just, all the players in your deja vu just weren't lined up in order to allow it to happen in that way. But you, the player, was lined up in order to get an advanced announcement about it.
I sometimes feel
best ever conversation about deja vu.
I sometimes feel like I've seen it in a dream before.
Well, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what now you're just trying to make sense of why you know it.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's that feeling that we were talking about, that feeling of knowing your prosperity even before the money's in the bank. That's a deja vu feeling. If you could just know that, if you could just feel it before it's there, and most important, not need it to be there to feel it, now you've got it. Now you've got it, because when you can start feeling it when it's not there, then it's got to be there. You say, oh, Abraham, that's screwy just a little bit. Why can't you just give it to us so we can feel it? That's not the way creation works. Feel it, know it, own it, be it. It has to show itself to you. And it will show itself to you in all the details that you have prescribed every time, because you create your own reality. The other day, Esther had the thought about somebody pushing her buttons. Well, that person pushes my buttons. And then she thought, and what in the world am I doing walking around with that great big old button out there? That great big old button out there just waiting for somebody to push it so I can say, aha, you pushed my button. And Esther just thought, I'm just going to put that button away. My buttons are going to be, only the good buttons are going to be pushable. Only the buttons that I want you to push. Yeah. Enough?
One last question. Again, in the whole around dreams, when we have people that have transitioned to non-physical, died, whatever you want to call it, and when they sometimes are in our dreams and you feel like that connection and that communication.
Well, they're around you all the time. You're just more willing to accept them in your dream state than in your wake state. They're around you all the time. They didn't go anywhere. They're aware of everything you do and everything you know and everything you want, and especially everything that has anything to do with them. They're right there. They're right there, blowing and flowing with you. Eager about the things that you're eager about, more eager about what they were eager about before they made their transition, because now they have no resistance at all about anything. So when they're showing up in your dream state, that's a really good indicator that you're in the vibrational vicinity of them and you're having a conscious realism, you see.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really good.
Hi.
We are.
Yeah, I am too. So I love the vibrational atmosphere. It's like the evolution of the grid, which I used to refer to as my home base. So it feels like my vibrational home base, and it feels really, really good. I wanted to get some clarity about...
We like calling it an atmosphere because it is fluid and pliable and changing, and you've got control over it, where the grid sounded more rigid, like once you got it done, it was done, and it's really not that way, because it's something that your propensity to improves, but it really is, these are the words that we want to give you. Your climate is current. It's current. It's based upon what you are currently thinking about.
It's current now and current flowing
it's current. But we meant it's current. It's now. It's present. It's happening now. It's current. It's current. And it doesn't matter how good you felt yesterday, and it doesn't matter how much better you're going to feel tomorrow. Right here, right now, this is your point of attraction over which you have more control than you've been exercising. And once you take hold of that knowing and you start doing something currently to enhance the way you feel, now you're home free, because you already put it in the vortex. And what's in there is flowing your way. You just got to prepare yourself to be the realizer of it, and not just in dream state, in wake state. And then the momentum gets going, and everybody you know cannot deny that you are the creator of that.
I wanted to get some more clarity about, I love also the idea and so much want to experience that unconditional living that you've been speaking about recently. And wondering, just as you mentioned about hearing from Reed, not to read, the reviews, but they're audible reviews.
Because what you think of me is none of my business.
Right, but audible reviews come in all the time, not just in print. So my question is like...
How so?
Because, for example, there have been changes in my physical apparatus, and so I get like a lot of positive feedback from time to time, and I don't want to be dependent upon that to feel good, but I want to allow it in at the same time.
Well, we think it's a wonderful thing to appreciate. In other words, just appreciate it. But there's a difference between receiving what's flowing to you and going looking for it. And if we've been saying to you for a while, you're looking for love in all the wrong places. Because often you look for love in a place where it isn't, and then you misunderstand and you think you're not loved when you're just looking for it in a place where it wasn't. You find some person that's on the Henri disc and you go looking for love, they're not going to give it to you. And then often you misunderstand. You think that where if you're looking for it where it always is, you're always going to find it. That's really the point that we're making.
And I get that, and I know that that's where it comes from, is from within. My question is more as to how to, like I hear you talk about source not responding to the behavior, but responding from the vibrational, from that. From what
though? From what? What is source? This is the most important question of the day. Best ever. What is source responding from? Where's source coming from?
The core of source, the love, the appreciation, the joy, the bliss.
The practiced vibration of alignment and joy and love. So let's carry this train of thought just a little bit. So your inner being, the source within you, will not join you in any negative commentary about yourself or about any other.
Yep.
Because source has practiced this climate, this atmosphere so profoundly that is who source is. That's what permeates all that is. And then humans, in varying degrees, block it off for one conditional reason or after another. But, what a good discussion of unconditional love we're having here. You've been using the words for a while, but not really understanding what it means. Where am I coming from? Am I coming from have I taken the time to think myself into alignment with source who has thought themselves into alignment? Have I taken the time to think myself into that resonance with that? Or am I just sort of lazy and letting the wheel that is the most squeaky get my attention? Good way to look at it, don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
So someone presents themselves to you in some way. Now, first of all, they didn't get there accidentally. Law of attraction brought them to you because you have an active vibration within you that makes that a logical thing. And you didn't, and let's say it's unpleasant, some piece of it. And you don't think you were asking for it because you don't ask for unpleasant things as a deliberate practice. But you do now, especially after this discussion, you do now accept that if it's there, there's a component of you that is matching it. In other words, in many ways, you're just standing there with a person who's sort of mirroring you, and you're pushing their button, and then they're pushing yours, and then you're pushing their button, and then they're pushing yours, and you're saying to each other, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. But if you weren't in on it, then it wouldn't be happening. So this thing that's happening is loving information for you that's letting you know the only important and really simple thing to understand. I've got something active in my vibration that this is representing. And if I want to keep getting that, then I'll keep that alive in my vibration. And if I don't want to keep getting that, then I will deactivate that in my vibration. Well, the thing about law of attraction is can't deactivate anything, because as soon as you try to deactivate it, you've pushed the button and you've activated it again. So the way you deactivate something is by activating something else. And so it's just a matter of understanding and blessing. Thank you, annoying person. And we are not being sarcastic about that. Thank you, annoying person. Because you have made me aware of an active vibration within me that's not just turning up with you. It's turning up with a lot of other people. You're just the current evidence of it. And since I'm alert and aware, I'm not mad at myself. I don't need a step 4 out of the 12-step program moment of I don't need to do anything other than acknowledge that it came in response to something that I've got going on, and maybe I could soften that a little bit in some way. Yeah. And as you do, so here's the thing. So then, what are we encouraging you to do? It came, you didn't like it, you were aware of it. So do you think that what we're encouraging you to do is now take that bull by the horns and take that person who annoyed you and sit there and make a goddamn list of positive aspects about that person? Well, there's a little momentum there. Yeah. is what we're encouraging you to do is take the information, realize that you're edgier than you mean to be, and get up in the morning and try to hold yourself in a place of feeling good longer, and then just keep watching. In other words, give it another day, give it another week, give it another 2 weeks, give it another 3 weeks. Show yourself your incremental softening of your resistance and your therefore incremental allowing of the things that you really mean to let in to come in. That was good. That was the best ever.
That answered a question. I had an experience recently where I was clear that I attracted this person into my experience, and there was some unwanted, but I was thrilled that I knew that I did that. I knew that it had nothing to do. I mean, there was a little bit of unwanted qualities, but I was like, I did that, and I can change that. And so part of what you just spoke to, you answered part of my question, because you talk about, well, if what we get is wanted, then adjust nothing. But if there's some that's unwanted, then adjust it. So I hear that in the softening. So can you? Yeah, can you just
the other
give
day
me more about the softening?
someone asked Esther, what do you think, in a nutshell, if you had to articulate it quickly and easily, what would you say is one thing that I could do that would put me steadily on the path of living happily ever after? And the impulse came to Esther immediately. Make an enemy of no one. Don't find anyone and use that person as your reason to push against. Make an enemy of no one. Because all that happens when you find that condition or that person or that situation or that whatever it is to push against is that you practice a vibration that does not allow everything that you've been asking for and everything that you deserve to be current right now in your experience. You won't hold it off forever because well-being is yours to experience. You will eventually have what you call your death experience. We like to call it croaking because there is no death. And you will in one fell swoop release all resistance, and you will be the receiver of all that you've been asking for. You will come back into alignment. We just don't think you should have to croak to do it. We think you should be able to practice yourself incrementally into that soft allowance of the well-being. And it's not a soft, flimsy, uneventful life experience. It's a vivid, exciting, momentous life. In other words, you have not been dabbling at life. You've put plenty into your vortex. There's plenty lined up for you. We're just saying you got to slow it down a little bit to start noticing that you're letting it in. And once you got this letting in good, then you can start rampaging. Then you can start making lists of things that you want. Then you can take something that you know that you want that hasn't happened yet, and you can begin expressing it in vivid, clear terms and take pleasure from the expressing. And that's the piece that we so want you to hear. If you're affirming to the universe because you're trying to talk the universe into something, or because you're trying to overcome some obvious resistance that's been keeping you from living something, now you're trying too hard. It's working against you. You want to say it. You want to say the words because it's pleasurable to say them. You want to think the thoughts because it's pleasure. You're soothing yourself into alignment. So you're using these mantras and you're using these affirmations because saying them just feels good. Because when you say them, you find resonance with the source within you. Ooh, that's so big. That's such an important thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you affirm to try to make things happen. And this whole conversation all day today has been about softening your point of attraction in order to let in what you've been asking for that is queued up right against whatever barrier you've got. So the art of allowing is softening that, softening that, softening that. And at first, the softening happens with general statements. But once you've got it, once you've been doing it for a while, for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, once you've got that, now you start living step 4. Now you're walking around knowing that well-being is yours, knowing that you are the center of the universe, knowing that you are worthy, knowing that you are loved, knowing that you can be or do or have anything that you choose, and knowing that it is simply your work to define what it is and hold yourself in a frequency that allows it to come, and that you get to modify your thinking every step along the way in exactly the way that any masterful creator molds clay into the sculpture that is exactly the way he wants it to be. You are molding the clay through your thoughts, through your emotions, through your exposure to life, through your experience with all of these people who are helping you know how you're doing. You don't, as creators in clay, you don't take a big clump of clay and throw it down on the table the first time and say, "Oh, I thought it would be better." you expect to mold it a little bit. You expect to transform from your vortex idea of what you want to transform it into a reality. And this is the same thing, you see. Really good. Something more?
Yeah, actually, just with the discussion around food and actually recovery combined, I've been in the food division of the 12-step community for actually 22 and a half years. And for me, the food is different than the other substances of alcohol and drugs and whatever else, because we have to continue to engage in it on a daily basis.
We just want you to think for a little while, because you've said really a lot just now. 22 years and it's different, and so we just want you to start by thinking something like this. What conditions have I been manufacturing for myself to make this a hard topic? Because you are the creator of the conditions. You're the creator of the way you are looking at it, you see. That's why we always say, start with easier things. Start with easier things. Because if you start with something easier, you will gain quick confidence in your ability to focus, and the realization of results will be really obvious. If you start with something that you've been 22 years in the trying to figure out, then sometimes it's a little harder place to focus.
It doesn't feel hard to me. It feels easy. What I wanted some clarity around is the variety.
Well, then, how about this statement? This is a good one for all of you. I could say that better.
Okay.
So you just said some things to us, and now say to yourself, wait, I can say that better. So say what you just said to us better. Say it better. And by better, you all know what we mean. In a more soothing to yourself way, in a more expecting of immediate results way. Say it better. We don't want the facts that don't apply. We want the current facts. We want the we want you to take your current reality and say it in a way that causes you to demonstrate to the universe a vibration that's going to yield to you what you want. That was clear, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Say it better.
Okay, so I'm in a place where I love my food. I love the food I eat. I love my body. I recently just switched gears in terms of vegan, and not because of little animals, just because it feels good.
Now you're just junking it up for no reason.
Okay.
Now you're just making it harder for no reason.
Okay.
So get into a really general place and say it better.
Okay. What I'm seeking is more ease, more freedom around.
Right, but make it current. In other words, you're making it sort of something that's out there. I'm considering turning this into something that is more freedom and ease, but you're doing it right now. So bring it current and say it now. In other words, say it as best you can now. In the easiest way you can. Say it as best you can right now.
Say my question or the what is this?
The creation of your atmosphere. Because your work 100% of the time is to create an atmosphere that lets in the most right now that will please you.
Okay.
The most impulses, the most communication between cells and source. So that's what you're doing right now. You're not writing a book about it. You're not having a debate with anybody else about different possibilities. You're not even thinking about what's been going on for 22 years. All you're doing right here and now is creating an atmosphere that's the most conducive for you feeling emotionally the best that you can feel. So you can say it better. What are some words?
Freedom comes to mind.
Freedom's a really good word with a whole lot of attachments to it. So maybe you could find a word that's easier. One that's, in other words, freedom. For when we love you so much, but when you say freedom, what activates in most of you is the bondage that you are seeking freedom from. So you can say it better.
Ease is the other word that comes out.
Yeah, ease is a good.
Ease.
Fun, delicious, good feeling, energy. Clarity. Ooh, I have such a good body. My body represents my focal point in this world. Ooh, so nice to have this body. So much source energy, adoring, focusing through my body. Ooh, some of you are getting it. Can you feel vitality in your cells right now with that statement? Do you feel that? Do you feel source enjoying your body just now? Seriously, can you feel that? sort of energy moving, little prickles that you weren't aware of. That source is loving your body. I love how source loves my body. That's saying it better. I love how source loves my body. Love the communication that source has with my cells. I love the understanding that my cells have. I love that my work is just to be easy about it and get out of the way of it and follow my natural impulses. And maybe that's all you have to say. There's a tendency to want to talk it to death. To want to talk it until you get to the bottom of it. There is no bottom. You're not going to get to the bottom. So just find something that makes you feel ease and makes you feel good. And then watch what happens. Watch what happens. Mm-hmm. When your body feels as good as it feels right now, can you feel? Here you are, floating around, sitting on your chair, source energy flowing to you. This is a lovely state of physical beingness. It is. Lovely state of physical beingness. Everybody knowing what to do, all the cells communicating and knowing what to do. I can say it better. I've been making too big of a thing out of this. I've been trying too hard about all of this. I've been approaching this from a reactionary standpoint instead of from an inside-out standpoint. I believe in the intelligence of my body and the intelligence of and there are a whole lot of things that I accept that are in my vortex. Whole lot of things. Cars, relationships, dollars, money, abundance of all manner, friendships, physical conditions, clothing, jewelry. There are all kinds of things. There are all kinds of things. Physical well-being, stamina, enthusiasm for life, all kinds of things in my vortex that one as easily as the other is going to be realized by me, and one's not different from the other. The food isn't different from anything else. Nothing's different from anything else. It's just my perspective of it. I set up the conditions that make it more difficult or more easy. You getting that? People will say, I have this difficult thing that I need to talk about, and we want you to understand you're the one that established the conditions that has presented the difficulty that makes it harder for you to allow it in, but everything is easy. It is as easy to create a castle as a button. Provided you want the castle. And it's such an interesting thing because really, you want the castle way more than you want the button, but you allow the button way more than you allow the castle. So if you could make the castle and the button and the food and the body and the lover and the money all equal, all in the vortex, all queued up, all ready for you, how can you say it in a way that allows you to be the realizer of that? We think this is a really good time for a segment of reflection.